Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. I'm Chris Gorapati. I'm the Vice President of Supply Chain Solutions at Lighthouse and Stellium. Thank you all for joining today. We have a very exciting session and also a big day for you and us. We are very, very excited to introduce Lighthouse personal free edition of one of the most advanced supply chain solution suites out there in the market. And we'd like to use this webinar to really showcase what Lighthouse is about, as well as how you can go about downloading the application and use that to master your advanced supply chain skills. In the session, we have, we are honored to have Brian Mead, who is the Managing Director of Touchstone Technology Consulting Operations. Brian has over 30 years of enterprise software and systems integration expertise. He's built a company from ground up and managed to, get it acquired by a leading company. And his expertise in digital supply chain and overall enterprise systems integration is unparalleled. Also with us is Rohit Shukla, Director of Lighthouse Supply Chain Planning Solutions, and he leads the product strategy and management for Lighthouse Supply Chain Suite. With that, I'll hand the mic over to Brian. Brian, please go ahead and give your perspective on advanced supply chain solutions.
Great, thank you, Chris, and thank you for that warm introduction. I don't know to what extent I can tell you that my background is as kind as you have, but the organization, myself, and the organization, as Chris has alluded to, has a breadth and depth of experience where we've been supporting ERP over the last 30 years, from the household name companies that have come into the market and evolved through ERP, MRP, ERP, from the AS400 into the distributed processing, witnessing the advent of SAP, I2, and the evolution of ERP and the rest. As a management consulting company, we look to our customers and to any product as simply as that of a solution set and not just another me too application to be out positioning to customers. When we as an organization, again, as a management consulting company, we look at the supply chain management from the APIC standpoint, right? And APIC standards and best practices. And we look at these technologies from the standpoint of what they are bringing to the market. Again, we want to be a consultancy and not just another me too pushing a piece of software, selling features, functionality. Having said that, I was asked to introduce myself and our findings as we have done an exhaustive search on an application that did a number of things. If we look at the likes of what Gartner, Forrester, and the rest of the consulting companies are looking at in establishing some of the best practices within the supply chain, we look at functionality as we evolve from how do we go out and begin to transfer into this digital supply chain world. Now, we look at the challenges the small and mid-market face from that of an economic standpoint, from that of a resourcing standpoint in the adoption of this technology, and all of the things that make up the success of the transformation of a digital supply chain. Now, we as a company and we as an organization and an industry are plagued with the decision and the timeline to adopt this because time is of the essence. When Touchstone went out and my team went out, we searched for an organization that had the breadth, depth of functionality that allowed companies in the small and mid-market embrace a technology that we looked at as not just an IT solution. We want to get away from this thing and talk about IT, right? IT is a function within the business. It is not the business unit function. What I'm talking about here is that we embrace these business unit directors, vice presidents, managers, to look at the challenges that one's facing within the complexity of the supply chain from a planning standpoint. And if we looked at the makeup as to the totality of the functionality within the supply chain, from sales and operational planning, demand planning, supply planning, production planning, and scheduling, we looked at Lighthouse from the standpoint of being the sleeping giant. And I say a sleeping giant because it was not and is not an organization that had the economic power to go out and invest in the likes of a Gartner to be positioned into the Magic Quadrant. All right. If we look at the Magic Quadrant, and I urge everybody to look in there because it gives you some of the salient points that Gartner is looking to for the mid-market solution sets as to feature functionality. And then you come back, and if you do your analysis and look at the functionality of what Lighthouse is bringing the totality and a closed loop solution to that of all components within the supply chain, I venture to say there's nothing like it. And I'm not here to be pushing this technology, although yes, I am supporting it after doing and making a decision. Now, if you looked at integration, you can go to the Google the Gartner supply chain management for Magic Quadrant. You can see some of the players there. If you looked at the upper right quadrants for the visionaries and the ones that are out there that are doing the ones that are leading the market, all right. If you looked at the functionality of everything within Lighthouse and the supply chain here and what we're offering and then what's going to present it, it's going to be everything and anything that they have and everything that most of the big boys have. All right. The beauty of what Lighthouse is also bringing as a management consulting company, I'm looking to the likes of the people that are running these various components within the supply chain. We want to be looking at this as a business service. And if you looked at the way Lighthouse is being positioned into this, we can look at components of each and every one of these units from sales and operational planning, and we can speak to that. And we can use this and implement that individually to support that component and use it and bill it as an operating expense and a business service, as we can with all the other three components. So we want to look at this from the standpoint of selling and positioning this as a business service. The business unit managers and leaders can adopt this technology, implement it graciously, providing all of the niceties that these new technologies are bringing from the standpoint of UIs. The user interface is clean, it integrates well, and it is able to integrate into your existing platforms. So in summary, all right, we did our analysis and we looked at many, and we support the largest ERP company in the world. And I think everybody that's out there, we know that. All right, there's a fit for those people, but they do not fit into many of the small and mid-sized markets. So it was incumbent on us to be able to look and identify and support, all right, a platform, all right, that provided all of the robust, complex offerings that we needed in order to get and achieve this digital transformation. And it was after an exhaustive search, we have elected to embrace Lighthouse Supply Chain Planning Solutions as a technology, all right, and a framework that we're going in to go out and identify and support these specific functions within the supply chain that companies are in need to in order to be disruptive and not be disrupted. So with that, again, without any further information, I'll be more than happy to answer any question or answer any questions that you might have from that of what we're seeing, what we're doing. Would be more than happy. I'd like to hand this over to Rohit Sukla right now, we can get into some of the features and functionalities and specifics as to the Lighthouse technology. So, Ed, please.
Thanks, Brian. So hello, everybody. This is Rohit Shukla, currently working as a Director, Lighthouse Supply Chain Solutions. So in next 30 to 40 minutes, what I will try to cover is basically I will try to give an understanding that what is the basic purpose with which this Lighthouse is working in the market. Then afterwards, I will go through the overall solution coverage of the end-to-end suite. And then afterwards, I will explain that what are the key features that this product comes up with. Post that, since we are launching a free premium edition model today, so my colleague Tilak will explain that how to about the prerequisites and about how to get started, and he will give all the details. Once the time permits, then we will have some 5 to 10 minutes of question answer session. And those questions which will not be answered is something who will be answered and will be sent to everybody on mail. So here I go. Yeah. So basically, our main mission is to democratize the overall supply chain and planning solutions for mid-scale and small-scale industries. And whatever we have gathered experience in last 4 to 5 years during this product development, so we understand that what are the challenges which are coming in SMEs, and also understand that what are the positives which are on the table. So our main aim is to bring overall package which works on the theme of planning simplified. When I say planning simplified, it's not only from a user perspective, but also along the overall journey of decision making, implementation, and support. So on the right hand side of the slide, if you see the 8 elements, so we say basically as an 8 quadrant strategy. And we are trying to figure out the best service offerings that we can give, which comes as a best trade-off to the various clients. So with our great efforts in last 4 to 5 years and some successful implementations, we see that we are clearly confident that we can be one of the prominent player when we are talking about the target industries and the relevant in target and relevant industries. So if you see that in next 3 to 5 years, our overall aim is to be very fast, affordable, flexible, and robust. So going to the next slide. Yeah, so this slide explains overall that what is the overall Lighthouse planning suite is. So we can see that it's an end-to-end planning suite which is unified, scalable, and agile. And the overall planning software suite is divided into 3 major parts. The one is sales and operations planning. And in the second, it comes like demand planning and forecasting and supply planning. And in third, the horizontal layer of Lighthouse analytics and dashboarding runs across the overall planning modules. So I will go one by one in each of the module and explain you that what are the key things that comes. So basically when we start sales and operations planning, so there are some certain general questions that a planners face. Whether it is like, is managing too many spreadsheets becoming a concern for him? Is there a problem in simulating and comparing planning scenarios? Or is he struggling with aligning the strategic plan with the operational plan? So Lighthouse sales and operations planning is the solution that enables a decision-making process to integrate the overall financial and operations plan. It links the high-level strategic and business plans to detailed processes and select the best course of action to determine demand-supply balance. The overall integrated platform gives a flexibility to model various demand and supply things. And the platform comes with a feature of multi-dimensional drill down, which promotes easy aggregation and disaggregation. So it provides quick planning, replanning capability through various what-if scenarios. So we can see on the left bottom side all these key features that I'm explaining. So these are the essential components of the Lighthouse sales and operations planning. Then comes demand planning and forecasting. So basically, Lighthouse demand planning and forecasting is a one-stop solution for forecasting and collaborative planning, which improves the overall forecast accuracy and reduces the inventory cost. The overall engine is R-based engine, which is used for generating forecasts. And there are some 14 different techniques that are involved in the overall forecasting and planning. So you name it, like simple and weighted, moving average, whole printers, cross terms, linear regression, ARIMA, and the list goes on. So it is a single platform for consensus planning between various stakeholders such as marketing, sales, demand planner, etc. And it automatically chooses the best fit forecasting technique among the 14 techniques that has been defined. Some of the key features are advanced statistical forecasting techniques, classifications and attribute-based planning, the configuration of multiple data measures, transition planning, supersession and realignment. So supersession means the interchangeability between the old and newer SKUs. Reports and pre-configured alerts. So going to the replenishment and fulfillment planning. So generally, if you see, the planners face the problems like, is he seeing a problem with managing inventory across complex global supply chain networks? Or is there a problem with meeting the desired customer service levels? So Lighthouse supply chain planning solutions determines the optimal order quantities at each and every echelon in a complex global supply chain network. And it considers various constraints like safety stock, lot sizing decisions, lead time. So if you see in between the distribution centers, it generates stock transfer orders for movement, for all the order movements between distribution centers, and also plan orders for manufacturing locations, considering lot sizes, lead time, safety stock requirements. So the multi-level supply hierarchy can be easily configured. And flexibility to create user-defined reports is also something which makes Lighthouse supply chain planning a smarter solution. So if you see, the key features are like, it models complex multi-echelon supply chain, inventory balancing across the network based on the constraints, comprehensive reports and pre-configured alerts, multiple supply planning and deployment strategies, you name it, pull, push, share, all these things are something which can be easily done. And process flow enablement to facilitate alert-based planning. So production planning and scheduling. So basically, advanced production planning and scheduling module is a most strongest forte that we can say is there in the overall Lighthouse suite. So this production planning and scheduling solution offers various supply and demand modeling features, and it is quite good in discrete and continuous production systems. The capabilities of APS includes sales order and work order plan creation. This is the bomb explosion and simultaneous material and capacity availability. So the Lighthouse platform provides the problem summary feature to highlight all the exceptions encountered during the planning, and the flexibility of adjusting production resource calendar based on resource maintenance schedules helps the planner to rerun the plan as per the updated schedule. The interactive scheduler displays all the automated work order schedules graphically, and there is a Gantt chart facility which enables the planner to adjust schedules as per the planning decisions. So some of the key features which comes with advanced production planning and scheduling is like constrained production plan to meet customer due date, which is like unlike the MRP based planning. Bottleneck management and minimization of WIP, demand prioritization and management, visibility of all planning exceptions and resolutions, and faster replanning capability and available to promise evaluations. So all sales and operations planning, demand planning, and production planning. So there is a horizontal layer which is like Lighthouse analytics and dashboarding, which runs across these modules. So when we are talking about the capabilities of related to data analysis and reporting, so the system provides advanced analytics and dashboarding features along the creation of simple data grid reports. So we can see the list of KPIs which are like quite inbuilt in the Lighthouse analytics and dashboarding platform, but the necessary customization can be done and further drill down is possible. Dashboards are interactive with the user-friendly navigation with many graphical features and can easily navigate through a simple drill down approach to provide finer details. There's a control tower dashboard function also, which is as a forward-looking tool that clearly elucidates the cause of the supply chain problems, and it provides a holistic view from the perspective of key stakeholders, whether it is from sales, procurement, manufacturing, and inventory. So this was a brief about that what comes under the different modules of Lighthouse. Now, what basically differentiates this overall suite? So we categorize the overall things into four major parts, which is like smarter, faster, simpler, and flexible. So the very first thing is like comprehensive process support through advanced planning algorithms. So Lighthouse is having some of the strongest algorithm built across the module. So if we have to go through the forecasting engine, so it comes inbuilt with 14 statistical techniques which can handle various historical data characteristics like seasonality with train, and many other things. So besides, the system also allows user to create their own forecasting techniques. And the selection of the best fit is something which is automatic and is based on the least error method rule, where there are multiple types of error methods that has been put into the product. So using aggregation algorithms, the output can also be summarized to any level in the hierarchy for viewing and adjusting. And similarly, disaggregation algorithms also drive the high level of adjustments down to the detailed records while working top down or middle out. In Lighthouse, the process of model selection is something which can, and review is something which is fully automated, especially when a given model is systematically over or under forecasting demand. Replenishment planning algorithms. So coming to replenishments, so what I was explaining through over and under forecasting demand is something, a tripping logic that has been built in under the Lighthouse. So this is also one of the features. So now coming to the replenishment planning. So this replenishment planning algorithms balance in consumer demand signals and forecasts, inventory on hand, and in transit inventory to create planned orders, thereby enabling the creation of optimal inventory plans across the various echelons of the network. Similarly, the safety stock calculation can also be automated based on the specified service levels and lead time and the demand variability. So these parameters can be specified at each item location level, or even it can be done as a global parameter. So the parameters is like safety stock in quantity or time, maximum coverage in quantity or time, lot sizes, lead time, etc. These all things are easily configurable at the item location level of the supply hierarchy. Also, replenishment algorithms automatically synchronize supply with demand even when there are hundreds and thousands of products and location variables. So policies like priority, fair share, inventory expiry, split percentage, target stock level, all these things are something which can easily be mapped into, and we can get a replenishment plan accordingly. Similarly, in advanced planning and scheduling, so basically it comes with the capability of capacity planning and material planning simultaneously. And there are capabilities of faster replanning things. So if we talk about the algorithms on the supply side, so advanced planning and scheduling module provides a large selection of parameters to help support each manufacturing facility within a business. So planning engines generate a balanced production plan simultaneously considering both material and capacity constraints. Scheduling engine generates further detailed schedules that minimize WIP and improves resource utilization. So this overall APS solution considers alternate items and alternate suppliers, lead times, suppliers quota, purchase consolidation horizon, and lot sizes for generation of procurement plan. Hence, procurement plan from Lighthouse can be used as a capacity constraint MRP So schedules can be generated in just in time, meaning orders are scheduled at the latest possible start time to fulfill orders before the due date. So schedules can also be generated to minimize the idle time between the orders. So if we see, there are modeling possibilities for resource handling like batch, pool, aggregate, subcontract, and similarly we have different strategies for planning like minimize WIP or maximize resource utilization. Also, there is a feature of auto demand prioritization to fulfill order on time, which comes as a part of rush order management, which can also be a part of the overall rush order management. So, yeah. Similarly, there is a feature of inbuilt analysis and reporting capabilities also there. So when we are talking about the capabilities related to data analysis, as I have described earlier also, that there are control tower dashboarding capability, there are Lighthouse analytics capabilities, there are KPIs defined, and there are also and which we can further personalize and customize and get to any level of drill down. So getting to the exception based planning. So this is also one of the feature which we say. So if we see the overall planning activities, so there are so many exceptions that come in between. And to name a few, like demand cancellation or rush orders, supplier delaying the shipment, cycle time variation, material rejection, similarly the resource breakdown. So the most critical factor in the success of overall planning solution, how we see it, is that how well we handle the supply chain exceptions. So the Lighthouse helps in quickly identifying these exceptions through various inbuilt validations. And once identified, exception can be quickly communicated to user group in various ways through the alert manager. The fast processing planning algorithms is one of the capability in Lighthouse which allow the replanning multiple times a day and whatever frequency a business or user wants. Yeah, now continuous review and planning. So if we see that throughout the SNOP cycle, the system links the high-level strategic and business plans to detailed processes and provides a platform to continuously monitor and review the deviations. So the system helps in selecting the best course of action to determine demand and supply balance. Now coming to the faster section. So yeah, so this is one of the important feature, which is unified planning platform. So if we see the overall that all the planning platforms like SNOP, demand planning, replenishment planning, all these are on one, all these are tightly integrated and they seamlessly interact with each other. So in this single planning platform, Lighthouse streamline processes, break down silos, and lets you plan concurrently for every part of the supply chain, whether it is a sales and operations planning, demand, inventory, supply, production planning and scheduling, which brings the overall data, processes, and people into the alignment. Accelerated implementation techniques. So yeah, so what we feel is that successful adoption is very vital, and if everything goes perfect, we see that the standard implementation time for a single module is close to 40 to 50 days, depending upon the complexity of the business. And the enterprise-wide implementation is also something which we see as 90 to 120 days. So the standard implementation of a single module, as I said, 40 to 50, and end to end is 90 to 120. So this can be done into a standalone or an integrated system to the client's ERP system, and which can be bidirectional. But yeah, once we launch the system, this is the time that we find some hidden efficiencies, automated processes as we keep fine-tuning the system in sprints. So we follow the sprint methodology during the design, build, and adopt stages of the overall implementation. Faster and seamless collaboration. So we see that the client environment comprises of various enterprise systems like ERP, MES, various data marts, CRM, say TPM systems also. So the integral tasks to overall supply chain planning suite like Lighthouse is to how the overall ability to import and export data across these data sources. So basically Lighthouse uses a Microsoft SQL server as its data backbone, where it is able to integrate and exchange data with a variety of enterprise systems. So we use various protocols like web service, web API, SQL, Excel, flat files, upload to connect, and flat files which are uploaded to connect with external systems. So the pre-built procedures and jobs help in validating and moving the data into planning tables from intermediate staging tables. So from Lighthouse perspective, users can export data from various sources, whether it is Excel, PowerPoint, and PDF file. So using these integration features available in Lighthouse, users are better able to utilize the data from a variety of systems, thus paving the way of the overall accurate supply chain planning. Now, scenario planning. So we see that there is a great need of real-time scenario planning, and it becomes imperative for our planning solution to have this flexibility to create multiple scenarios. So in Lighthouse, we see that as a standard SNOP process, we see that the base plan can be created. We can create multiple plans on the top of that base plan, whether it is revised plan, consensus plan, etc. So in conjunction with creating the plan, the user will have this option of comparing the plans in respect to certain metrics, whether it is cost, margin, or price. And these features are basically the core of the overall SNOP system. So when we see the what if scenario capabilities and talking in the perspective of production planning and scheduling things. So this module helps the planner to check the feasibility of the overall sales order and work orders. So sometimes planner has to go through a lot of struggle to tell the completion date of the sales order. So what we see that with an updated due date, quantity, and priority. So if there is a capability of quick replanning with updated inputs, so that create multiple what ifs to update the management if we are changing the scenario and help them with the feasibility of each sales orders with different inputs. So in rush orders also with increased rush orders because of the demand variability and from the downstream nodes, planners can quickly get to know that by when those rush orders can be planned. Now, talking about our deployment models. So basically, we have the two deployment models, on cloud deployment and on-premise deployment. And we see that we also come with a flexibility in the deployment, whether it can be a CapEx and it can be an OpEx model for the various clients. So from Lighthouse technical standpoint, it is a client server application and it can connect to any ERPs with high-end security built in the platform. So all these business logic, planning algorithms, and database resides in the server side with a connection from the client through encrypted web service calls. So basically the overall product is on .NET with SQL Server as a database. And all the dashboards and report can be accessed through the web and mobile browser for the planners and higher management to review key metrics on the go. Intuitive user interface, Excel, and mobility. So if we see the left hand side of the slide, so basically the scheduling screen is an interactive screen where there is a drag and drop feature which works on the scheduled work orders on each resource as per their availability. So each work order is highlighted with a different color for easy recognition, and this is something which makes the overall Lighthouse solution quite intuitive. Now in the new version of Lighthouse, which gives a look and feel of an Excel worksheet with user-friendly shortcuts and keys, we have features like inbuilt email buttons also to give certain alerts. We have locking features available. We have graphic adjustments, and we also have a comparison for different parameters. So Lighthouse overall provides a comparison feature between different parameters to check which one is going beyond thresholds and not. So which is like a part of the overall alert management. Yeah, roles based and secure. So it's quite a very secure platform, and the best of the mechanism has been put in place to track, capture, and rectify the loopholes. So there are some Lighthouse provides this admin credentials to the client administrator, and the person will have complete access whether to add or delete any user in the form. There are certain administrative power that can be delegated to others as per the organizational hierarchy, and users can be mapped to a different user defined and created roles like demand planner, supply planner, production planner. And these user roles can be attached to one or many plans through the use, though the users can also be restricted with add, delete, or edit functionality on each screen of the Lighthouse through the admin settings. So in conjunction with this role-based access, the platform has a multiple inbuilt security mechanisms, which includes IP security, RSA, password, data encryption, authentication, and authorization policies. Different kinds of authentications are there in the tool, which we can see in the below of the slide. Now going to rapid integration. So we can see that Lighthouse can be connected to multiple ERP systems, and it provides a flexibility to the clients with either utilizing the in-house middleware, which is like Lighthouse Connect, or to the platform that can get connected to any third-party middleware. But what we recommend is that the required data should go to the staging tables, wherein we can provide the necessary visibility to check the accuracy and rectify the overall data as required. So this flexibility will help the planner overall to check the sanctity of the input data so that they can get the best input. Now, now comes the alert management. So we understand that the when a planner is doing planning, so he or she is having a limited time to take decisions. So basically, Lighthouse provides with a flexibility to get the alerts either on a Lighthouse platform, on email, or on SMS. So there are certain set of alerts already pre-configured in the system, and customized ones can be configured, which we say as a part of the implementation. So these alerts can be a part of a module or an overall combination of modules. So specific alerts can be set up for specific users with specific pattern at a specific frequency, whether it is hourly, daily, or weekly, whatever the business need is. Yeah, easy customization and configuration. So whether the platform provides customization of menus, reports, dashboards, custom logic, workflows, depending upon the business needs and industry types. So it's basically a plug and play functionality wherein the customization can be done at any level. That is from basic UI to say hardcore algorithmic level too. So the overall configuration of output in any format, be it Excel, PDF, or CSV, for the user to utilize the planning output data is quite easy. Sorry. And this about multi-drill down dashboards and reports is something that I have already explained during Lighthouse Analytics and dashboards. Now, this Lighthouse Analytics, so the overall Lighthouse end-to-end suite is basically, it is a platform that has an access to more than 150 languages, capturing majority of them through across the globe if we see, so it captures the majority one. So this Lighthouse language server protocol translation management system helps to convert all the background English language to the native language in a flip of a second. and something that we can see in this slide also, which is like a sample Chinese cursor. And so during the development of this functionality, we kept customer at the center and made sure that they have this flexibility to look into the platform in their native language. So these are some of the key features that we explain about that I have explained about the Lighthouse. Now, so I think that this overall 30 minutes, I was able to capture the overall solution coverage and the key features of the Lighthouse. Now, uh, we get into, so this week we have released the overall free personal edition, where we are giving the full featured edition of the Lighthouse for one user for 30 days. So we invite all of you to just have an access of it and see that how this overall Lighthouse looks like. So how all these things has to be done is something that my colleague Tilak will explain you.
Okay, thanks, Rohit. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for attending this session and also for showing your interest in our solution. In the next couple of minutes, I would walk you through the steps of downloading the application and getting started with it. So the first step would be for you all is to go to our website, which is lighthouseacs.com. Once you are there, right in the home page, you will see this tab which says Get Started with the Free Personal Edition. Once you click on it, it would take you to a secondary page which has a link to download. But before we go there, there are a couple of other things which I want to just walk you through. There is a document which clearly explains all these steps which I'm walking you through, that you can use it for your purpose when you're downloading and trying to install this. So basically the document looks like this, which I've already downloaded here, which has all the steps detailed out here right from the page where we are right now. Going back to the website, there is also a document which says what are the prerequisites. There's nothing major you would need apart from Microsoft .NET Framework and Windows 7 and onwards. OS will completely work. And currently this works only for the Windows application, so Mac people will have to wait for some more time. We also have some tutorials here clearly explaining each and every module and how they work and how somebody can get started with it, how to configure the data and so on. I would advise please download them when you start working on it. I think this is going to be really useful. There are some general questions and answers which are typically asked, which are documented here in the facts section. But again, if you guys enter into any sort of issues, there is an email ID mentioned in the document. Please email it to us and we would get back to you with an answer. Okay, the last step or the last one here is basically to download the file. So once you click on this link here, it would take you to a Google Drive where you have the application, which you can right click on it and then download. Since I've already downloaded, and again it's a 140 MB or 120 MB file, it might take anywhere around 15 to 20 seconds based upon your depending upon your internet speed. It should be pretty quick download. Since I've already downloaded it, I will just demonstrate how to install it. Again, this is clearly mentioned in the document as well. So you just right click on the application file and just run this as an administrator. Click yes. It's a pretty simple 4 or 5 steps installation. Keep hitting next. Can read through all this and then you agree for the conditions, and then Yeah, since there is an option to install this on-premise and cloud, and since you guys are using this as a personal edition, uh, the cloud link will be automatically populated there. Just have to just click on next, and then the application gets installed. Let's give it a few moments here while it gets installed. Then I would like to go back to the document here. These are the steps which are outlaid here, and everything is clearly documented. And we are here in this step. Let me go back and see what's happening. Yeah, it's finished. Now, once it's installed, the next step would be for you to create a free account, which is you will see a login icon on your desktop. So click on it. And then right in the login page, just below where you enter your user ID and password, you see this tab called Create a Free Account. Once you click on it, so there are some details which you need to enter based on which we will be creating the account, and a planning area would be created based on this information what you give. So most of the information are mandatory. It's just because based on this information, we will be creating a login information for the application. Once you enter all this information, you will be able to register the application. So since I've already done, I won't be doing this right now. So once you do it, there will be a link which will be sent to your email ID. Like in this, you will get a serial key, which you will use to activate the application, and then the activation is completed. Once you're completed the activation, the next process is to just log in. So again, you will go back to the same page, and then you will put in your user ID which you have provided during the activation process, and then the password. Now you have successfully logged into the application. So again, as Rohit previously explained, this is the landing page of the application, and you will see all the modules which you can get on. So based upon your interest, whichever module you want to work on, you can start with it and use the tutorial to help you guys and to navigate through each and every screens and menus. We have already put in some sample data for you to get started with. I just want to show you one of the screens. So in the demand planning, when you get into demand planning and helping our tutorial, you can go to demand planning workbench. You will have some sample data set which is already there, which you can use for your initial study and understanding the system better. With this, I hope you got a clarity on how to download and install the applications. If you guys have any questions, we will be happy to answer in our Q&A session. Once again, thank you all for your time and interest in our solution. I appreciate it.
This is Brian Mead. Is Rohit picking up from the Q&A session here as we're opening up to the audience as to the questions that we might have from the audience? Who's going to be picking that up?
Rohit is going to be doing it. He's just checking out which questions are there. But in the meanwhile, if you have any questions, feel free to ask Rohit or Chris about those questions.
Yeah, we want to make sure that everybody is aware of what we're doing now. So it's, the Q&A session is underway right now. So I guess Rohit is going through and manning this. So please post any of your questions that you might have. And I'm sure there are many in the event that something does present itself later on, Sukriti can be reached and we can answer it.
We're just waiting for people to key in their questions. We'll give them a minute and we'll get started. Brian, is there something you would want to add on or something you wanted to share apart from this?
I think it's most important, again, I think everybody, the intent today was to give you the high level in the PowerPoint presentation. We can establish subsequent detailed session in demoing this as it applies to anyone's specific business at any time later on. So we can coordinate with that team. If you reach back out, if you want to take this to the next level and get into a more specifics, where if you have put together your requirements planning and that, we'll be more than happy to take this and again apply this and get into some of the some of the functional values of each of the components. And especially looking at the S&OP component is very, I think this is an area within many of the organizations that, most organizations, as we find it as a consultancy, are still using the proverbial spreadsheet. And, we have sales are still generating their spreadsheet, and we're amalgamating, 4 different groups of spreadsheets and putting it together. This is a very clean process. The modeling is really attractive, and the implementation is very gracious. And the adoption level of the knowledge transfer is very, very quick. So we can get into that on the S&OP piece and whatever else you want to get into. But I think overall, again, from my messaging up front, was that we really did our analysis, and as a consultancy, and I have a colleague of mine that I've known for 20 plus years who really is one of the most renowned consulting individuals in the industry, who was very well regarded from a company called Knowledge Path. His name is Ron Brunner, who I think is on with us. That comes, and he's joined us to evaluate this as well. And Ron comes out of an extensive background with supply chain management, ERP on the SAP and other Microsoft and all the rest. But more importantly, the messaging here from all of us, from Ron's standpoint at Knowledge Path, as we go out and embrace customers and look to customers to assist in doing this digital process transformation in these specific disciplines. We're not just looking, we're not here, we don't derive our income by selling software. All right? We're here to consult. We are not looking for, trust me, we're not looking for another piece of software selling. We're looking for solution sets that can achieve and address the business services that people are looking to digitize. And when we looked at this, and we did, our extensive, exhaustive background on a lot of different these platforms that you can look at, and I urge everybody to go to the Gartner, Google Gartner Magic Quadrant for Supply Chain Management 2018, and you'll see some of these companies. We've done research on them all, but we look at the criteria that we're looking at, and the criteria from ease of use, adoption, SaaS-based, business services, OpEx expenses, and taking and granularizing some of the functionality which in each of these specific disciplines, S&OP, demand, supply, production, scheduling. If we can address these individually, it's attractive. These are the things we're looking for. So you'll find here is that this really does address that. And again, we're not here. I have every one of these companies that are in the upper right, in the lower right, in the left side of the Gartner quadrant, looking for us to support their technology. We're not here to go out and push them. So go ahead. Do we have some questions here?
Yeah, this is Chris. A question for Rohit and Tilak. The question is, if I am a end user demand planner or supply chain planner, and obviously there's a lot that I can do here and learn by myself. However, if I want to, once I'm satisfied with what Lighthouse is able to accomplish for me, can I expand the usage to others in my organization? And what do I have to do? And Rohit, Tilak?
Hey, Chris, Tilak here. So in that case, yeah, that's definitely a good sign that somebody wants to move ahead and spread this across, as in terms of usage. Yeah, definitely, we will have to go through the same process, and we may have to. I mean, based on the specific scenario or case, we may have to. We can extend the usage license to some of the other users in the same organization. Uh, so as so probably they may have to just go through the same process where the first individual did how they went ahead and installed and did the installation, because this gives an opportunity to use user specific, but in this specific case, they would want to use the system within the same planning area, I believe, because they want to do it in the same company. I think that's a specific or a special case where we can take up based on the interest level of the users.
Okay. Okay. So they could join the planning area as a user and go ahead and start collaborating with their team.
Yeah, but they won't be able to do it directly, but yeah, we can help them do it and give them some extra time to learn the system and use it.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Yep. If there are no other questions, again, I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining this session. As you see, we are very, very excited about releasing and making it generally available, the Lighthouse Personal Edition. As Rohit stated, our big, hairy, audacious goal is to democratize advanced supply chain planning. It's been a hard one for people to get access to and even learn the many fundamental aspects of supply chain planning, and we are changing that today. So if you have any questions on how to get started, or if you're getting stuck and you'd like to, perhaps use it for your organization, please feel free to send us an email or call, and we'll get you up and running as soon as possible. With that, I will close the webinar, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Mm-hmm.